Hi everyone, this is Kelly Beard of KarmicTools.com, and this is your weekly forecast for March 3rd through the 9th of 2019. Now, has anyone noticed that we'll have a week of one or two activations and then a really busy week? And perhaps you've noticed that some of these YouTubes or audios can be 10 to 15 minutes or more like 30 to 40. So I know last week was pretty intense, and this week we only have two activations. However, we have Mercury retrograding in Pisces on Tuesday the 5th and the new moon in Pisces on Wednesday the 6th, as well as Uranus' final ingress into Taurus on the 6th, on our new moon day. This Tuesday, Wednesday is very busy, in addition to our activations. So let's dive in to the possibilities and know that our two activations on the 6th and the 9th are both Sun. Sun conjunct Neptune on the 6th and Sun sextile Saturn on the 9th. And I just want to give you a little heads up before we dive into the retrograde and the new moon and Uranus moving into Taurus, because that's all going to sort of color it, let's say. It's going to flavor it. It's going to be an energetic overlay, however you want to put that, to back up your activations for this week. And because we have had such intense and transformative couple of weeks here, it continues. But the beauty of this time is that it is all about you. Mercury retrograde may facilitate somewhat of a breather, which would be really good for our processors, so that we get the first time of the year to really process and integrate what's going on around us and within us. So I say all that to say that the Sun connecting with Neptune is initiating a new vision and dream for yourself, and the sextile to Saturn gives us traction to making it real. So even though these other things seem a little bit more esoteric and out there and let's say challenging to co-create with, like Uranus moving into Taurus, that's once in 84 years. So most of us, I have a few members in their 80s. I love my elders. They are pretty amazing, but not too many over 84. So most of us are just getting to experience this awakening with Uranus and Taurus for the very first time. So let's take in this week of magic, really complementary earth and water energies, which always allow us to create and make something real. So let's just dive in. First up is the Mercury retrograde in Pisces. So this is just a reminder that we get 3 to 4 chances a year to do a conscious data dump and give the mental body some much needed rest and restoration. Yes, it can be frustrating to try and move and shake in the world. Technology tends to go wonky, cars break down, communication and travel can go haywire. This is even my second take of the recording because the computer crashed in the middle of it. So those things happen during this time for sure. It doesn't always happen. Let me interject here. What I have discovered in tracking the Mercury retrograde for myself is that 1 out of the 3 will be the most intense for me personally. So you have to kind of know your elemental and your modality aspects of your chart. So I have a ton of Virgo, so I know that this Pisces is going to be important. But I am a Cancer, so when Mercury retrogrades in Cancer in the summer, that one's going to be personal. And then at the end of the year, it's going to retrograde in Scorpio. So all 3 water signs are going to be personal for me. And so you just check in with yourself. Reflect on last year's retrogrades. You can Google the years and look up the dates, exact dates, or if you have any of my tools, I always give you 2 years worth of tools that has the dates and signs and everything for the new moons and the planets going retrograde and direct. So check in and look at the last couple of years and see if one of the Mercury retrogrades stands out, because if one of the 3 signs is really, or modalities or elements, is important for you, then that's what I've discovered, is one will actually shake up and break up and mix up and do all the crazy breakdowns to break through, but not all 3. What all 3 give us is a chance 3 times a year to really give the mental body a break, which we have to do as human beings. We are not computers. We do not run like computers 24/7. We are not capable of that. We're not supposed to do that to our bodies. So that's when breakdowns can really happen. Mercury is all about the process of all the information we've gathered. We have to either file it or delete it. We can't just have it running around. This is like a defrag, a personal defrag, which clears out the gaps in your understanding. It clears out the empty spaces and consolidates the truth into something usable. You know what I mean? So this is a time that can also be really magical, enlightening, and restorative. Like I said, it's giving the mental body a break. This is when delays are divine, and you can carve out a little extra time and space to do your own processing of what's going on in your individual life. Check in with your own ideas, thoughts, concepts. Do some research, finish projects, and develop your ideas. That's all what Mercury retrograde is really good for when you can do it. New connections may be made, but more often old connections circle back to complete something. It is the sacred pause before you decide or choose something really important this spring. Take advantage of this one to clarify where you are and where you are heading, and keep in mind the power of the imagination. If you imagine doom and gloom, it is more likely to manifest. If you imagine breakthroughs with your relationships and resources, then you will create more of that. This time in Pisces is going to have its own additional caveats, because all of that I just described is just Mercury retrograde in general. 3 times a year we got to do this. Now the Pisces filter, your intuition and imagination is involved, for better or worse. So try to connect fluid language with vivid imagery. This is your imagination. We want to check in with our language and our images, the ideas, thoughts, and concepts that we allow into our field. Really important to do maintenance, cleaning, cleansing, clearing, the 3 C's, as Pixie would say. Keep in mind, nothing is linear or logical about Mercury and Pisces, let alone a retrograde. This is all spirit or otherworldly. So any spiritual work is really well supported at this time. So any spiritual healing work is tremendously supported by this retrograde. It is a test to fortify your intuition. And you have to work your intuition like a muscle so that you can learn to rely on it. Check in with your own beliefs, dreams, and fears. And make time to be in nature under the sky. That always gives the monkey mind a break. But especially during Pisces time each year, we are supposed to be dreaming up the action plan that we will execute throughout Aries-Taurus time. And don't forget, the best thing about this retrograde is that it is totally easier to commune with your angels, ancestors, and animal spirit guides. And they are even more available when in Pisces, like now. So what I mean is Mercury retrogrades are always good times to get readings because you're communing inward. You're turning inward and doing the communication with self, higher self, or spirit. When it's just moving along in its natural track, we're out in the world, we're working on our ideas, thoughts, and concepts, but we have to take this time 3 times a year to really check in with ourselves and see what we think, because we're bombarded with all this other language and imagery that can influence our brains in ways that we're not always fully conscious of. So we need to become conscious of, and that is what we do 3 times a year. I love it. I love Mercury retrogrades. Even though the computer just crashed and screwed me up and delayed my day, I still love it because I know that I'm going to have the most fun with my ancestors and angels and animal spirit guides this month. And I'm going to get a lot of information that's going to guide me for the decisions and choices I know are right around the corner a month from now. So check in, like I said, because they're more available. And if you are at some kind of crossroads, my Astro Tarot reading is excellent for getting to the heart of either one issue or just checking in with your own cycles to get the support for wherever you are at this time. Many of you already know that I've been completing my Earth Medicine certification with Pixie Lighthorse, and I'm finally done with school and will be shifting my focus back to my own circles. New offerings and a new website, kellymbeard.com, is coming. But I am also able to take more appointments in March than I have been in January, February, so please reach out if you need to. And we move to the Pisces new moon on Wednesday the 6th. This is the same day that we have Uranus moving into Taurus and our very first activation of Sun conjuncting Neptune. So the 6th, Wednesday, is a pretty hump day. Is going to be a big day this week. And it's all good. Just if you can take time out. No pressure. But the days leading up to the new moon can feel, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, like you're getting pulled inward anyway. So try to give yourself some time and space to honor that. Remember, I say this a lot, but I don't feel the need to stop anytime soon. If you all don't schedule breaks, breaks will not be given. Now that we are global in our ways, things are 24/7. And like I said, your human body isn't meant to go 24/7. So if you're not scheduling breaks or you're not getting breaks because you're not scheduling them, I suggest that you use the full moon, new moon, or the first quarter, last quarter, or the Mercury retrograde 3 times a year. If you can't do weekly, monthly, and be really on a rhythm like that, then I do suggest you take these other timeouts throughout the year, like quarterly at the seasonal shifts. There's all kinds of things you could tune into to get yourself on a rhythm that will allow your body and mind and spirit to do its processing so that you can function at a higher level, and I just highly recommend you working it in. And so for this week in particular, any downtime to focus on your intentions and dreams and your ideas and concepts, I'm going to get into that now with the Pisces new moon, because there's so much energy that's already been flowing in February into March. This is just the first week of March. And we have some more energy that's going to start pouring in April, May. Like things are really shifting and speeding up. And you may have also heard me say that things are going to be very different the first part of the year versus the second half of the year. Like the dynamics and the vibe is going to shift halfway through the year, and you're going to really be able to feel it even if you don't know exactly what it is. It's all good. It's all energy, and it's all okay. It just needs to be directed consciously so that you're not a victim of the energy, or you're not getting smacked around unconsciously where you're walking into walls because you're not paying attention. So in the Pisces realm, that can happen. We can get caught up in our delusions and illusions, and this is the time of year where we want to channel that, make that a conscious thing instead of an unconscious self-sabotage thing, which can also happen as the shadow aspects of Pisces. Addiction and things that we do to ourselves. And most of the time it's because we're too sensitive and feeling too much overwhelmed of the energies around us. So then we're back to boundaries, which I do plan to do a little class on that one day, so stay tuned. So for the Pisces new moon, this is the annual crossroads we come to every year around this time. It is the completion of 12 new moons since the last one in March 17th, 2018. So that was St. Patrick's Day last year. How's it going a year later? No one is exempt. We all have a house in our charts ruled by Pisces. It is here that you should seed your intentions and precious vision for the next year, at a minimum, with consideration of where you'd like to be at the 6-month midpoint, which is the Pisces full moon in September 2019, on the 14th, September 14th, 2019. So 6 months from now is when these very seeds will show their true promise. Consider that this crossroads is simultaneously an ending and the womb holding what will be birthed next. Virgo Pisces realms teach us about being a spirit in human form. How's that going for you at this time? Can you see any patterns in your health or consciousness, your physicality or spirituality, and how all these dynamics are part of who and what you are? So making the connections. Okay, I have to interject something else here. You've probably also heard me say this a couple of times, but it's really good to start trying to retain for my laymen who don't really know astrology. I feel like the cardinal signs are the muscles. That's Aries, Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. That's the movement and choices in our lives. These are the departments that they rule in our charts, is where the most active and the most movement and activity happens. If you have planets in those signs, even more so. That means your lessons are tied to those signs as well. The fixed signs, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, are the bones. They anchor things, and those departments of our chart is where we're the most fixed and where change is harder for us. At the same time, once you do change, it's permanent, usually. So it's not a bad energy, it's just learning how to work with it. But the mutable signs, Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini, Sag, are the connectors. So they are the ligaments and tendons that attach the muscle to the bone so that everything can function. We need those connections. So in our chart, we have 12 departments that basically cover all of life. All areas of life are covered in that 12 little departments. And when we get to these particular departments of Pisces, Virgo, and Gemini, Sag, we need to create time to do the process, whatever it may be. And in Pisces, it's time to dream. It's time to dream a new dream and let go of an old dream that probably has not blossomed anyway. Gemini, it's time to process the information and ideas and decide on a direction. There's always things to choose from at that time. Virgo is the process of the body. How much can your system actually handle? We have to time out in August, September to check in with the systems to make sure they're functioning properly and do regular maintenance, which if you don't do on your body, what happens? There's a breakdown. And Sag is where we create the higher meaning of our lives. We develop a belief system out of everything we make the connections and we decide what's true for us. And so these are the 4 times of the year that we process our lives. So if you can work it in, and if there happens to be a Mercury retrograde at the same time, and a new moon where we're planting new seeds, and the sun is linking up with Neptune to seed a new vision, this is all juicy, yummy, delicious support for claiming something new and to really letting go of anything that has not worked so far. Okay? So tap in and recognize that the Sag last quarter moon, which happened on 2/26, actually revealed more unavoidable truth, which clarified what was truly done, so that by now, the Pisces new moon, you can seed anew. This is the lunation when last year's progress commingles with the coming year's potential. So how much did you get done? How much can it support going forward? And what is the new energy that's going to feed into it so it blossoms into something new? Think of March as the cauldron in which you are stirring in the ingredients that you want to grow and evolve for you in the new year. It is a time to process what you do know and allow what you do not yet fully grasp to unfold naturally. It is time to honor your intuitive capacity for navigating new realms and knowing what is practical and possible for you personally. The more connected to your internal guidance system, the stronger your position will be as the new year kicks off. The Gemini first quarter moon is coming on 3/14 next Thursday, and that may be a ride on what I call the sit and spin for some. That means going in circles and not really making any progress, while it could also be a gathering of relevant information for others. It's best to carve out some time to organize your thoughts and ideas before the real action kicks in, which is next month. We've learned a lot in recent months, and we are about to go through 2 back-to-back Libra full moons in one 30-day period, which facilitates what I call the lunar flip, but more on that next month. This first Libra full moon falls on equinox this year, is also a supermoon, and it is the final moon at 0 degrees in a series of 6. And I've talked about this in the last few weeks, so you can check in with those corresponding forecasts to get the details on each one. But it really has been working us on a personal level, and now we're going to move into some new energy with the full and new moons that takes us a little more out into dealing with the world. So for now, we can really assess what is useful and relevant to moving forward. It's good to reflect on all that we put in motion around fall equinox, which was September 2018, 6 months ago, and release that which has not fallen into a natural rhythm by now. We hopefully used the Virgo super full moon of February 19th as a purification prior to birthing something completely new. That's what we're seeding with this Pisces new moon. The light shined in your Virgo department, asking you to sort and sift what's right in front of you. So where's the light shining for you at this time? It is also asking us to prioritize what is alive and worthy of further investment, and what has actually run its course and has no life left in it, allowing you to release without attachment. Makes that much easier. Since we also have Mercury extending its stay in Pisces, this new moon is really the cauldron. What are you cooking up? What flavors and spices are you adding to create that unique mix that is you? These seeds may take a little longer to pop, but when they do, the fruits and flowers ought to be truly magical. So this new moon, plant the seeds of your biggest vision and most cherished dream. Okay, we're really tuning in. And as for Mercury retrograding through water signs, that only happens every 5 years, where we have the whole element the whole year. So we're definitely working our thoughts and emotions, our thoughts and feelings, our head and heart, getting a realignment this whole entire year of 2019. And I suspect that it is in preparation for some really big transitional transformational, transcendent activations that are just like once in a lifetime happening in 2020 for all of us as well. So let's use this 2019 to really fortify our systems, everyone, because 2020 is going to challenge us all to rise. Think of this as our chance to activate the next level of the 60s revolution of equality and freedom and environmental awareness and all of that. All of that got seeded, initiated in the 60s. It is now being tested to grow, which means we have to change something in order to function and to succeed and to move ahead. And as we get to Uranus entering Taurus, also on the 6th, which is Wednesday, this is another piece of assistance to help us. It is also something that only happens once every 84 years. And it is referred to, I noticed, as the 7-year itch, because it's basically a 7 to 8 year process of Uranus moving through each sign. So it takes 7 times 12, it's 84 years to move through the zodiac. So it just spent the last segment in Aries and did its final retrograde. So now it has officially moved into Taurus permanently and will awaken that department of life in your chart. So wherever that Taurus house is, it will also stimulate any planets in Taurus, Scorpio, or Leo, Aquarius by default. And of course, the houses will get activated by default as well. So these are good things to know. If you don't know, you can absolutely reach out to me. I'm happy to tell anyone their placements for free, just so that you know what to look for. Also, I'd say here and now is a good time to reflect on whatever liberating ordeal you just went through over the last 8 years, as it stimulated your Aries department. Once it is truly into Taurus, you can start to reap the benefits and integrate the recent radical shifts that your identity and purpose have been through. And the focus, and thus the lessons and the blessings, will now shift to the values and priorities that support that newly awakened emergent self, and how that works on the ground, in the body, on the earth. Okay, so we've started something in the last 7 to 8 years that is going to be embodied now. We've initiated, now we have to embody it. And we have to check in with our own systems to see what we can each handle on our own and be responsible for and to actually maintain. So, in other words, for individuals, those who have had their shakeup or disruption activate the new identity and purpose, usually by dismantling the old one, the values and priorities are naturally going to have to shift to support that. And when you change, things and people have to change or go away for there to be a vibrational match again. Okay, so when your vibration shifts, it's like that radio dial. You have to adjust a little bit to avoid that static on the line. The electrical circuits of the body are being rewired. And anything we feel, Mother feels, and vice versa. So anything happening to the earth is happening to our bodies. Anything happening to our bodies is happening to the earth. Let's use this introduction to a new energy to practice having an awareness that something new is emerging from within as well as around us, and filter things through the body first, the spirit, the mind, and the heart has to be the final say-so. You want to check in. Does this feel right to me in my body? What does my spirit, soul self, higher self say when I am able to rise above my situation and look at it from there? And how do you put the pieces together in a logical way, if possible? But the final filter has to be the heart to ensure authenticity. And Uranus demands authenticity in whatever sign it traverses. My vision is that our technological breakthroughs will help serve and support Mother Earth, all life, and the body, rather than denigrate, violate, and pillage her natural resources. Uranus awakens by shaking loose where we've grown rigid and crusty. It just spent 8 years awakening you to a new level of personal responsibility, in that you cannot rely on outer structures to guide and protect you any longer, if you ever could. It's time to be independent within the context of the collective. As it awakens in Taurus, there will be a radical shift in your value system to support the new independence, and freedom will be tied to your ability to shift your values accordingly. So, we'll be talking about this one throughout, because now everything that interacts with Uranus is going to be awakening different things than it did over the last 7, 8 years, I should say. But there's a great article I just read from Olivia Pepper on astrology.com. Just Google that and Uranus and Taurus, and you can pull it up. Otherwise, there's a link on my blog. Really good, because she even breaks it down for us to deal with as individuals, because Uranus is a collective planet, so it's moving great numbers of us along. So we want to distill that down to our individual usefulness, and that would be, she says, how to prepare for this is to reevaluate your possessions, stop throwing good things away, celebrate beauty, transform the way you eat, start a garden, even if it's just a planter box of herbs, which you guys, I'm about to start, invest in alternative economies, and separate your worth from your wealth, which I really think I'm going to make a class about, to separate your worth from your wealth. We got to practice that. So check out her article for ways you can just apply it and to get an idea of the overall cycle and vibration that it is awakening all around us. Okay, so then our first activation is also on the 6th, Sun initiating with Neptune. Like I said, a new vision that on the 9th, when Sun connects with Saturn, we can gain some traction and really make a difference. We can build on it and maybe take that first step in some way. This transit tends to make you very sensitive to others and the general vibe around you. So anytime you're working with Neptune, just check in with your boundaries so you can be as clear as possible. If you are one of those people who tends to put everyone else's needs before your own, watch out, because this makes that urge even stronger. Be aware of two things. Most times, people who focus so much on others to the exclusion of their own needs is because there's something about their own life they do not want to face. And two, you could get lost in your so-called altruism to the point where you lose touch with reality. This energy is best used alone to meditate and contemplate your own world, unless you can be completely detached in your charity work, which means giving without expectation. And right now, I think we're all at such a deficit that it would be best for you to just give to yourself at this moment. I use this little motivation to decide if your life is so perfect and abundant that you can afford to spend so much time and energy on another's life. If so, great, go for it. But if not, then charity begins at home, so work on you. And any Sun activation is really all about you. So that next one on the 9th, sextiling Saturn, this energy is good for getting serious and organized because the Sun also brings some much needed clarity. Thank you, God. With Saturn involved, practical actions based on responsible assessments will be rewarded, whereas blowing things off or leaving loose ends will cost you, usually fairly immediately, the instant karma way. Even if this should happen to you, it is not personal, but Saturn's way of showing you immediately where your current limitations are. That's good information to have when making choices and decisions. This activation also gives you access to self-discipline and the ability to consider all your options before deciding on anything. This is a good time to focus on your professional goals if possible and start making a solid, feasible plan for the future. If you need to, seek the advice of a trusted, wise elder, anyone with more knowledge and experience than you. And if you can't actually do something in the direction of your goals today or this week, take the time to meditate and connect to your plan energetically. Okay? So, big week for seeding a new vision. Lots of support for clarifying what that vision may be. Being mindful of endings and new beginnings and being okay with it. Detaching from outcome, being comfortable with the unknown. All of this is Pisces domain. Trusting spirit, trusting your intuition and your own instincts, very big thing. And knowing that all is in divine order and divine timing. So trying to tap into that right timing for you, the rhythm that works for you, really important, and my life's work. So if you need a little help on that, just reach out. And I hope you have a great week, and I will talk to you next week. And certainly, I think Shanta, Gabriel, and I are trying to cook up an equinox full moon call of some sort. So stay tuned for details on that. Thanks for listening. This is Kelly M. Beard of KarmicTools.com, and I'm so grateful for your time, energy, and support. Please share this with those you think would resonate, and reach out if and when you need to. Kelly at KarmicTools.com. Or you can reach me through my contact page on the website. The goal of my weekly forecast is to alert you to the energies and activations that we're all experiencing and the possibilities for conscious co-creation as an individual. Awareness of the energies is the first key, but I invite you to take it to the next level by checking out my readings, telecircles, or subscriptions, which are all geared toward individual support that helps you understand your own unique blueprint. My specialty is cycles and patterns, and I love helping people figure out their own within the context of the social and collective rhythm. To some, working with their own cycles and patterns is a completely new and foreign concept, but there are many planetary cycles that coincide with natural life cycles that allow us to co-create in mystical as well as practical ways. I create custom tools that I have tried and tested myself for over 30 years, and I do the work alongside my circle every time. So I hope you will reach out if you feel called to dive deeper into your own soul's natural rhythm. Talk to you soon. Namaste.